Hello my scrappy friends and welcome to my channel today. Today's share is for Cut to You, and I am using two of the awesome fun new August cut files. I'm using this one, the oh my gosh, office clips that I've cut 5 times, and the For the Record title, which was kind of a bonus cut, which I'll get into in just a minute. This is the page that I created and into the process. So you can see I have cut this 5 times. I had these photos printed that I'm going to use already, and so I wanted to use up what I had printed already. I have changed the cut file just a tiny bit, just to make the frames more like an Instax frame rather than the thin border all the way around. So all I did was ungroup, no, not ungroup, the other one. Oh my goodness, it's late at night. I was meant to do this earlier. And life. Compound path. I released the compound path and then just dragged down the bottom line just a little bit to get it to the right shape. When I cut this cut file, I cut it to exactly the same size as what my photos were. So I've had to mount my photos onto some white cardstock so that I had somewhere to put glue to stick it to the cut file. And I mentioned that I had done the For the Record as a bit of a bonus cut. I had cut a couple of different designs on some textured white cardstock, and I wanted to fill up the page, so I found this one thinking, oh, I might find a use for that sometime soon, or maybe, you know, in 12 months time. And then as I was putting this page together, I was like, oh, I'm going to use this cut file. It's going to work really well. Using the Chamel Never Grow Up collection, I've got these two pattern papers here. So one is called, give me 2 sec, Dreams Come True with the Stars, and I'll find my piece of paper. And the other one is Flutterby. It's got the butterflies on the back, but I wanted the navy blue. The photos I'm scrapbooking are of my oldest from January last year. He had tried the Cadbury Magical Elves chocolate that come out at Christmas time. They're milk chocolate with popping candy in them, and it was the first time he'd ever tried popping candy. So I just took a bunch of photos while he was trying them. It was super cute. His face, his expressions were awesome. So yes, they're the photos I'm scrapbooking, and I thought that star paper kind of was a bit kind of Christmassy, magical kind of thing, so that's what I'm going with. If you've watched any of my more recent videos, especially using the Coco Film Studio Legendary collection, you know that I'm loving this yellow. So this is from the Chamel collection from the 6x8 paper pad, but I wanted to bring a pop of yellow in, so I'm going to back this word record with this yellow, and then once I've got that done, I realize that I need a pop of yellow elsewhere, so I'm going to bring that in as well. I have cut this all as one piece. I'm just going to show you a little bit. I'm just trimming, so I traced the inside of the lines, and I am just trimming around the outline just along the outside line of that to stick this in. And I'm going to start with a D, and then I do, I think 3 letters, but my head was in the way for all of it, so I did decide to do just a couple of letters at a time rather than try to do the whole thing at once. If you've ever done that, you know that it can be tricky. So I'm like, yes, I really like that. I need to bring a pop of yellow down to the bottom, but I also need to do something to get the rest of that cut file to jump off the page. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I went with some dark blue paint. This is a Shimmers product. It is Oaky Bear Blue, and I started by just going around the edge, and then I was like, nope, I'm just going to paint the whole lot. So I did water it down a little bit, and then I decided that was too light. So I'm just using a little paintbrush and for the F, I'm just slapping the colour on. As I get further along the word, so where it overlaps, I'm really careful. That's why I'm using a small paintbrush to make sure that I'm just going where the actual letter would be, so that it's not going into the record part, if that makes sense. So I'm just very carefully painting in the lines, and then so painting where the lines would be of the edges and then filling it in. I hope that makes sense. I'm cleaning off my glass mat as I go because I don't want to get blue paint all over everything. I did get it all over my hands, but that's okay. So you can see I'm just going back over again. I do end up doing a couple of coats on here just to get the dark colour that I'm after. And then I go in off camera, because obviously I had to wait for this to dry. I go in and add some white details with a white paint pen, which I'll show you in just a second. So that's it there. And then I've added foam to the back of that for that to stand up as well. Just showing you I used my Posca pen. I've got this little flower here. This is from the ephemera pack, but it's vellum, so I wanted to make sure the colour was solid. So I have just spat onto some cardstock and aiming that out. And because it's fairly simple, I did leave this in. I'm just going to tuck that under the photos and where my journaling is going to go. It's funny, I decided that I needed to use a white journaling box down the bottom to bring the white down because of the for there. And then I painted that and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's all right. Because you've still got the white details on there, and I like the balance of the white down the bottom as well. You can see I'm just trying to get a couple of pops of other colours down here. I'm going to do a little bit of this yellow, and then that journaling spot that I'm using is also from the 6x8 paper pad, and I have just cut a few lines off, and yes, I'm tucking the purple underneath my photos. Decided I needed to add some mixed media to my background because it's me. So I'm going to start with some white splatters using my India ink. I've recently discovered that I've really got to shake this up and get the mixture from the bottom up through the whole jar, and I get much better results. And then I'm going back in with this blue as well, again, which is the Oaky Bear Blue. Just adding lots of splatters. And then finally I'll come in with the minor 49er, which is what I use to paint the clips of those little photo frames. Pop that aside to dry. And then I decided I wanted to ink around the edges of my bits and pieces. So I'm going to start with my cut file. I'm just using grey ink. It's watering can, I think. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it's watering can. And I'm just going to work out how I want my photos to stick together. Just using a little bit of tape around here to get them so that I can move them as one piece, which in the end doesn't really matter because they don't stick particularly well, and then I end up sticking them down almost individually anyway. It's all good. I did mark on the back of my foam there the order of the photos. Happy with how that's looking. I have added ink to all these layers as well. This is mostly dry. Just going to soak up some of that moisture, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just work on this. I have used the branding strip as well. That branding strip has come from, I don't remember which paper, one of those two that I'm using, and I've just stuck that along the join. I'm going to make sure that you can see just a tiny bit of that on the middle photo, just underneath it. And it really is just a tiny bit, but you can see then that it goes all the way across. add my flower in here, but I'm just going to trim around that leaf a little bit so I can tuck it. Add some foam behind that as well. And while that's sticking, add some glue to my title. I just kind of plonked it on the page and then went back with my T-square ruler to make sure it was straight. My rainbow hair, sorry guys. 6x12 cardstock stickers. I think that says Simple Joys. And yes, I'm mixing my metallics, that is silver. I try another piece from the 6x12 sticker sheet, Discover. So that could be interesting, but I'm like, nope, don't like it. So I'm like, where else can I add this? Oh, I can add that over here. So that's what I'm going to do. Peel off that foam. I only need half of it there. And just layer it. I am being careful to make sure that it's in between my lines for my journaling. I knew I wanted to bring something up to the top here. I tried a butterfly and I was like, nope. And then I remembered I had the stamp set, so I've gone back to my grey ink and I'm adding a butterfly up the top and a butterfly down here. You'll notice that I'm using an eraser on these stamps before I stamp with them. This is the first time I've used them, so it just primes them and that way I get a nice clear image. I'm going to add in a couple of hearts. Then I'm going to come in with the outline, add a few of those. Excuse me. And then I'm going to come in with my black. I'm going to add to the 2 solid hearts, and then I'm going to add one right up to the top here, one right down to the bottom here, and call my stamping done. Just curling up the edges of that. Add in some Nouveau drops. I'm going to use the crystal drops. The blue is Blue Babe and the pink is Bubblegum Blast. I'm just going to add 3 of those to the top left and 3 of those to the bottom right, just differing the sizes. The blue, and then I'm going to go back in with the pink. Sorry for my head again. I feel like I've forgotten how to scrapbook. So funny. And that is my page done. I am going to come back in and add my journaling in my grey pen here, and then I'm going to stamp my date in as well in grey at the end, and that is my completed page. I do go back in too and add some grey splatters, and I use a Shimmers product, a shade of grey for that. I'll just splatter that along that diagonal as well. So I really had fun creating this page. I wasn't 100% sure of where I was going or what collection I was going to use or anything when I got started. And then I looked at the photos and I kind of went, oh, bright colours, oh, what better collection, you know, what better designer to use than Chanel. So yeah, this is my page. I hope you've enjoyed watching it come together. Make sure you head over to the shop for the new releases, the Facebook group for all of the fun shares we do over there.